Welcome to ASQ Lean Enterprise Division webinar, Low Cost and Easy Lean Training Exercises. I'm your host, Tony Manos. We have several learning outcomes in today's webinar, including how to present lean concepts as part of your training, how to set up low-cost training exercises, and how to modify or customize these to meet your needs. The different learning games we're going to cover today include the 5S numbers game, hide and seek, the index card exercise, tennis ball exercise, and a couple at the end called Lean Lingo Bingo and Find a Word. So let's get started. The session is geared for the trainer. All right, we'll cover a lot in a short period of time. Our intention here is not to do a deep dive on every one of them, but to show you the basics and to give you the ideas of what materials you'll need, how to run it, how many rounds, how many people this would work for, etc. Now, you can use these ideas as guidelines, but feel free to modify these different exercises to fit your needs. So let's get started with the 5S numbers game. So this is a great way to kind of show things like 5S, workplace organization, and visual controls. Okay. Now, to be fair, we did find this originally on a website called superteams.com. All right, and it looked like it was made by Kurt Tassmer Stanley, Fastening Systems. And the original version was RWD Technologies. Now, of course, we felt like we had to modify it. We added a few animation slides to the PowerPoint just to make it a little bit more clear, but we hope you enjoy it. And so what this will really do is show things that show why 5S is important and what it can really do for people. Number of participants could be any. We've done this at conferences with as little as 5 up to 80 or more people. And it'll take you about 30 minutes to run. What you'll need to do is you'll have some forms, and these forms are free download on our website. And what you do is you get the forms, and also has the PowerPoint. Some type of timer, stopwatch, watch with a second hand on it, or even your smartphone with a timer will be fine. Pens and pencils for everyone, and an optional PowerPoint presentation. So we do go through each of the S's, but we have a kind of a different way to do it. So we do a current state, the before state, round 1. And then round 2, we do a sort, round 3, set in order. We'll talk about Sshine, and then standardize. Round 4 will be how to sustain, and round 5 is benefits. So the way that we do this is you hand out the papers, and on one side it says do not turn over until told to do so, and you hand them all out. And the instructions are just ask everyone to strike out the numbers 1 through 50 in order. So they have to search for number 1 and line it out, search for number 2, line it out, etc. And look at 30 seconds to complete the task. So it'll look something like this. Ready, go. And so they have to search around, look for number 1, cross it out, look for number 2, etc. So what we'll do is for the report out in round 1 after the 30 seconds, have them record their highest number on their overall score sheet. And then we do look for the group to see kind of like what is the range. Usually at this point people don't score very high because they are taking a lot of time just to search for things. And so we do ask questions like, what was it like trying to do this? Or how did you feel? Or how can we apply this in everyday life? All right, were there any quality issues? An example is this an 8, an 88, a 4, or an 84 up in the corner? You know, which one's a 6 or a 9? You can't tell when they're upside down. You know, 66, 99, etc., etc. Okay. So let's get to sort. All right, sort means to sort through, sort out. And so if we don't need it, you know, let's move it out. We'll move it to the red tag holding area. So one of the things we noticed, there's a lot of extra numbers in this area. Remember, our task is to find numbers 1 through 50. So we notice that, hey, there's extra stuff here, including a 2 number 39. So let's go through and red tag these things. And this is where we can show people, hey, let's get rid of the stuff that we don't need. And then what we're going to do is move it to the 5S red tag holding area. You can see right away it's going to open up a lot of space. And then what we like to do is, once again, round 2, hand out the papers, tell them not to turn them over until told to do so, but the same instructions, find numbers 1 through 50 in order, and they get 30 seconds to do this. And so ready, go. And once again, they'll do a little bit better this time because, 1, 2, they can find them. We'll talk a little bit about the how they felt this time, Was it much easier? Those types of things. So once again, ask them to write down the highest number that they found. What did they learn from this? And so most of the time they'll say things like, well, now that we got rid of the things, it's easier to see them. Now for set in order, we want to have a home for everything, get everything organized. So a place for everything and everything in its place. So let's rearrange the numbers in the orders that we'll actually use them. So we're going to move the number 1 over, move number 2 over, put 3 there, move 4 up, try to find a place for 5. We'll keep going until we get it in some type of order here. All right, but we still had to work around a few things. All right, things that are already there. We didn't have a time to make everything absolutely perfect, but at least we got things lined up. And this kind of shows them that sometimes you can't move things exactly where you want them. If there's monuments or things that can't be moved, well, sometimes you can't always do it right away. But let's try to get things to close to the right spot as possible. All right. So round 3, same as before. Hand out the sheets. Tell them not to turn them over. They have to find numbers 1 through 50. All right, and you give them 30 seconds. So ready, go. So obviously this time it's much easier. There still might be a few areas that can be improved, which any continuous improvement or Kaizen would be, but it is much better. And so we'll do our report out, ask them what the highest numbers that they find, put it on their overall score sheet, and what was it like this time, and what were the benefits of the sort and set in order. Now I'll talk a little bit about the third S, Sshine, all right, which means to clean and inspect or inspect through cleaning. All right, so let's get the numbers in good working order, clean this mess up. So what we did is we kind of got things a lot more organized now. They're good working order. And then standardize. Standardize is the 4th S, and this really means make up the rules for the first 3 S's, sort, set in order, and shine. But it's not good enough to make up the rules of how to do those. You have to also follow and enforce the rules. Make the rules easy to follow too. So after looking at all the styles and fonts, the team determined that these items can be standardized. So the team came up with what fonts and what sizes they wanted and how they wanted everything laid out. So let's add some more visuals like color coding and lines. And there you go. Okay, and then sustain, the 5th S. How do we make this part of everyday life? It's just part of the things that we do. Keep things moving forward. All right, so what we're going to do is to kind of show people how things might fall apart or not sustain, but why 5S and visuals are really important. Let's just do a quick audit of the area. All right, so we'll ask them to circle any defects that you can find, and you get 30 seconds to complete the task. So ready, go. And they scan and they search and they can look for any kind of defect that's in this area. So after the 30 seconds, you can pull up the slide and say, hey, listen, did you find anything? The 2 was missing, 9 was upside down, 11 and 12 are mixed up, 16 is not in the right place, 24 and 34 in the wrong location, the 39 was missing, 46 was out of place. But how did you know? Well, it was easy, because it was easy to see, it was visual, and we had applied our 5S. Okay? So round 5, the last round here, once again, hand out the sheets and say, listen, you get 30 seconds to find numbers 1 through 50 in order, ready, go. And so this time, obviously, it's going to be much easier for the participants. So everyone will typically get to number 50 for sure. So they all will finish in less than 30 seconds. And we can talk about what was this like. So before, access materials, lots of search time, big area, clutter, difficult. After, we had the right things. It didn't take long to find what we needed. Just clean, neat, and organized. So here's our before state, and here's our after state. Okay, and then what you can do is take a little time to talk about the benefits of 5S. Even though this was a 5S numbers game that you're using in a training session, how can we apply this to the real world? Especially in things like quality, cost, delivery. Right? And also, how did it make them feel? All right, so this game is available on our website at 5ssupply.com. It's a PowerPoint, free download, and you'll get all the forms and everything that go along with it. All right, our next game is to really show the power of visuals, and we call it hide and seek. All right, so what we do is we want to show how important visuals can be to help people out. So we use 2 different versions. You can use a manufacturing or kind of like a parts-based version or office version support. It really works well if you have about 4 to 5 people per team and about 2 to 4 teams. It'll take about 15 to 30 minutes to run this. So what we usually like to do is get some small pieces, like some connects pieces, file folders for the office. I even labeled one Penske file for watching the Seinfeld TV show. Once again, timer, flip chart, record things, and then you can also add in other things like markers. You need some post-it notes, tape, anything else to make signs, flip charts, anything like that to make visuals for round 2. All right. So what we do is we'll ask for a volunteer from each of the teams to act as the new employee, and we'll do everyone get the volunteers. We take them outside of the training room and show them which objects they need to find, if they have those little pieces or if they need to be looking for a file folder. But that way they know exactly what they're supposed to be looking for. The thing that we do tell them is the team's not really going to help. And as a matter of fact, the team's not going to help at all. But just wait in the hallway until they're called in. Right. Now what we do is while they're waiting, we go back in and we ask the team members to go ahead and hide the object. But don't make it too easy and don't make it too hard, and never make it unsafe. So please don't just leave it on top of the table that they were sitting at, or don't bury it underneath, something, no place they would ever look. And then what we'll do is a couple of things. Assign someone to be a timer for that team member. Okay, so when they find it, we can write down how long it took. Okay, and let them know that the team can't really help. As a matter of fact, all they can really do is go like, come on, hurry, we need this. Or, if it's a part, you can tell them the machine is down. Or if it's a file, like the customer's on the phone, so just hurry, we need this. And no kibitzing, no saying, oh, hotter, 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 colder. Don't do anything like that. Just kind of maybe put a little pressure on them because it's a time constraint that we got to find these things. All right, so you can have fun with it and just kind of tell them that we really need these objects, but don't tell them where they're at. And so you just go and you time them, and when they finally find it, you put right down the time. Now, what I'll usually do on this one is I'll run it up to about 2 minutes. If they haven't found that 2 minutes, I'll just call it. And so we write down the time for each of the team members, but ask them what it feel like. And they'll tell you that, I felt like I was under a lot of stress or under a lot of pressure. Now, we have had it where someone's been lucky enough just to kind of walk in the room and find it within a few seconds. And that's fine, too, because we'll talk about that. Well, you do get lucky once in a while. All right. And so round 2. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and invite our volunteer new employees to back out in the hallway and mention, wow, since it was so stressful for you, what you can do is just relax in the hall here, and we'll call you in. You're going to be looking for the same object, but just go ahead and relax. And so what we do is we'll go back inside and tell the teams, okay, now this time we want you to make visuals, signs, lines, labels, color coding, anything you want to do to make it easier for someone to find the items that they're looking for. And what you'd want to do is coach them a little bit on good visuals. So kind of show them like, hey, when a person enters the room, which way are they going to be facing? Where are they more likely to be looking? If they put something on the floor, then the person's eyes tend to always continue to look on the floor. So if the object's higher up, they might not notice that. Same thing if you put all the visuals up high and the items down low, they might not follow the visuals. So tell them to practice a little bit, and it'll take maybe about 10 minutes or so. So any materials that are in the room are kind of like fair game to go ahead and use to make visuals. So we usually provide post-it notes, colored markers, tape, flip charts, things like that. And let them know, same as before, they can't help them, they just have to tell them to hurry up. And so we allow the new employee to come in the room, say go, they start to time them, they look around, they find their objects. And so we record the time. Now, here the time should be less than they did in round 1. And like I said, they might have been lucky in round 1 and found it real quick. But overall, they'll tell you how much easier it was and what it was like now that they had visuals in place. The next game is the index card game, and this will really show things like one-by-one flow or batch size reduction. All right. Usually about 4 to 5 people per team works really well, 2 to 3 teams if you have it. It's great if the team members are sitting next to each other, but this is not required. And so what we'll do is we have the index cards on there. It'll take about 15 to 30 minutes to run. Make sure that they have pens or pencils with them. What we usually do is we get a pack of the 3x5 index cards. We usually get the colored ones. And we do 4 groups of 10. You'll need some type of timer, And then if you do want to do the variation on it, typically we just have them print their name on it, but you can have them do other things like stamp it, cut the corners, peel and stick stickers on there, and do all sorts of things. But usually signatures is kind of easy enough. And what we'll do is we'll break them into different teams. One team will do everything in batches of 10. They can't move the batch until the batch of 10 is complete. The other team will do batches of 5. And the third team would do one-by-one flow, meaning as soon as they completed one of their index cards, that they can move it to the next person. So what we do is we just ask them to print their name, first and last name on the card, and once they get that done, they move the card. So if they're batching of 10, they have to complete 10 cards of the same color before they can move that batch to the next person. Once again, an optional method. Have them do something else with the cards. You know, they can sign it, cut the corners, attach stickers, staple, you know, do stamps, anything you want, just to have them have a process at their workstation, and remind them that they can't move until their batch is complete. Okay. Once everyone understands the game, just say go ahead and start. I'd like to kind of be the not so nice supervisor, just to kind of tell them, hey, we're under pressure, hurry up, go faster, you know. And you know, people can only print their name at a certain speed. If they go faster, it won't even be recognizable. But you know, we record the times, how long it takes for each team to finish. And so what will happen here is which team finishes first will always be the one-by-one flow. Okay, and this is to show that to try to get the flow, really will get the items through quicker. And we'll talk about things like how long did it take to get the very first piece through. So if it was the color was red for the one-by-one flow team, how long did it take to get one through, and then how long did it take to get their entire batch of 10 through, the order for 10, versus the team that did everything in batching. And this really kind of drives home the point that by doing things in smaller batches, you'll actually start to get flow, and things will actually get through quicker. Yeah. So another variation on this one is maybe if you don't have enough people on the team, what we've done before in the past is you start them out with a batch of 10, you know, small team, and then make the next round, have them go to a batch of 5, and then the final round, one-by-one flow. This might take a little bit longer, but that's okay. That's another variation that you can do with this. One of the things, too, we'll mention is if you just have them print out their name, if you notice by going to smaller batches, and we didn't do anything for level loading or the processing time or the cycle times at all. So one person might have a short name, another person might have a very long name. So we didn't do anything to help smooth out the workload and the processing time, but yet by reducing the batch size and trying to get down as close to whatever one-by-one flow would be, it still gets the things through quicker. The next exercise is the tennis ball exercise. This is a great way to show simple concepts like continuous improvement, or Kaizen, and flow. Okay. So what we usually like is maybe about 4 to 8 people per team. 8's fairly large, 4 to 6 is probably a better number. It'll take about 30 minutes to run. What you're going to need for this is 2 tennis ball tubes, but take 3 of the tennis balls out. We only need 3 tennis balls. Get some Post-it notes. And we mark them for the number of people you have on your team. So if you have 6 people, write down numbers 1 through 6. Once again, we'll need some kind of a way to time this thing. And what we do is we do this one in 4 rounds. All right. So what I normally do is I'll go around and put the Post-it notes on the workstations ahead of time. Not necessarily in order. As a matter of fact, it's probably better that they're not actually in order. Okay. And tell the team that I'm the manager of the area. They're the new employees, and I'm going to take the time out of my busy schedule to show them how to do their task. But it's really important to kind of use this phrasing, use the phrasing exactly. So while I show them what we're trying to do, I say all 3 balls have to pass through both hands from one canister to the other. So all 3 tennis balls have to pass through both hands from one can to the other. All right, and it's really important, and you're going to demonstrate this to them and show them how to get it done. So you start at station 1. When you say go, you start to time it. Okay. Once they get through all the workstations, record the time on the flip chart. And once again, I'll be like, come on, hurry up. We got to go. We got to go a little bit faster. Our customers are waiting for these things. We do have copies of the just a little video clip here of the tennis ball exercise. This is something that we did at a conference a couple of years ago. So let me go ahead and pull it up so you guys can see what it might look like. And this kind of just shows how they're supposed to pass it from one hand to the other. And the can's falling over like that can be normal. So station number 1, she completed her task. She's bringing it to station 2. From one hand to the other, from one canister to the other. Both hands. See how he goes through both hands there? He's moving it, and now he's at station 3. And this is how you demonstrated how it was supposed to be done. You pass it from one hand to the other, from one canister to the other. And then they move it to the next operator. And there you go. And that's what a round 1 would look like. And so, by the way, there's these are available on our Vimeo and YouTube channels. And so what you did, you asked them what it was like round 1, how long did it take? So round 2, you mentioned as manager, wow, we still need to go a little bit faster. So you just ask them, hurry up, go faster, come on, do better. I know you guys can do this. If they have the quality issues, like you notice the tennis ball might drop off the table or roll down the hall, it's like, oh, we're not happy with that. It's quality issues. This is going to take longer. And so what will happen is they do the round 2, and they're flustered. They try to go as fast as they can, and typically at this point they only shave off maybe a few seconds. It usually doesn't go tremendously faster. Now, round 3, you have to mention it still wasn't fast enough. We're being crushed with orders, or our patients are waiting, or whatever it's going to be. Tell them that we're going to set a new goal. They need to cut the time in half. Cut the time in half. But to show them how like old school versus lean thinkers are, let them work on solutions, but tell them that they have to run it by you first. So you have to approve it first. So the way they do it at this point is, they'll be like, well, we want to change this, we want to change this. So basically, I maybe let them put the numbers in the right order, but I still make them do it, the operation, the same way. I'll get a lot of pushback on this, and people will be like, yeah, but we'll be faster and all that. And I tell them, well, I've heard that before in the past. And, it's just kind of one of those things that I'm not really convinced that these guys can do it any better. All right? So they do try it, and it will improve time. And now, for round 4, and this is going to be a lot of fun. All right? So what you do is you tell them that you have a friend, in another state or across the country, and you say that at her company they do the same thing, and they got it done to 1 second. And they'll be, oh, that's impossible. You can't get that done. And so you go, well, come on, team. Remember, it has to pass through both hands from one canister to the other. It's like, well, if they can do it, we can do it. And so you let them come up with creative ways to do this. Remember, all 3 balls have to pass through both your hands from one canister to the other, and that's the rule. That's our policy. That's the way it had to be done. They'll come up with really unique solutions. You might want to let them practice, but typically at this point, they can actually get it down to a second. All right, so here's the report out for round 4, what changed from the beginning to the end. All right, remember in the beginning, I would just tell them to hurry up and go faster, let them change a little bit, but not much, and then finally I set these really possible stage goals, but the team really comes through. So once again, round 1, they were just newly trained. Round 2, I just go faster. Round 3, limited changes, and then round 4 becomes the amazing breakthrough. So this is a great one to kind of show anything from flow or just continuous improvement, because we do this in several rounds. All right, so let's finish up. We have a couple other just quick fun games here just to kind of get some of the lean terminology out there. So Lean Lingo Bingo. It's a great way for people to kind of get used to any of the lean terms. Number of participants is any, and time is open, because it's really just a card. Print out the cards. The way we have it set up on the free download is there's 2 cards per sheet. I think there's 28 different cards, and you can have fun with it, like during meetings or training. If people hear the term, they get to mark it off and tell them if they get a bingo, just to yell bingo. And so the cards might be, have all these different terms on them, but they're kind of related to maybe some of the things that you might be discussing during the training. like going to Gemba. Okay, I see Gemba, I'm going to mark it off. Once again, it's just kind of a fun way to keep people engaged during the training sessions. We actually even provide a little reward recognition for anyone that gets it. It's just more for fun than anything else. So this is what the sheet would look like. You cut it down the center. Like I mentioned, there's 28 different cards to choose from. So this is once again available on our website. And the last one is just the old good find a word. Once again, a quick way to kind of get people used to some of the different terms, just to find a word puzzle. You can leave them out in the lunchroom, use them during breaks or something, just for fun, so people have a way to kind of like, well, I've heard these terms during training, and just to help reinforce them. What we do is we have different ones, including general lean concepts. We have one for 5S, one for quick changeover, and one for TPM, total productive maintenance. And so that's our quick webinar on some of the easy lean training games. Most of these are very low cost. We covered 5S numbers games, which really dives into the power of 5S and visual controls. The hide and seek game, where they have to go find something, and shows them the power of visuals and how we can find things quicker. The index card exercise, which shows us the 1-by-1 flow or batch size reduction. Tense ball exercise, which will show you things like continuous and flow and Kaizen. And then just lean terminology, lean, Lingo, bingo, and find a word. All right. So once again, this presentation is available on our website, and it's on slideshare.net/5ssupply. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My email is tmanos@5ssupply.com. So I hope you enjoyed today's webinar on simple and easy lean training games. And I would like to thank ASQ's Lean Enterprise Division, and I hope you have a great time training your people in these lean concepts. So go out there, get people used to lean, and let's spread the word. Thank you very much for your time today.